The Karate Kid saga continues with Karate Kid Legends. This is a new film in theaters now, on streaming forevermore, depending on when you watch this, that blends the original Karate Kid timeline and series with Ralph Macchio, that was Karate Kid, Karate Kid 2, Karate Kid 3. They made a movie called Next Karate Kid that didn't have Ralph Macchio, but did have Pat Morita's Mr. Miyagi. Then they made the entire Cobra Kai series that brought Ralph Macchio and just about all the cast from the original film back. And then they did this other film somewhere earlier called The Karate Kid that was about Jackie Chan as not Mr. Miyagi teaching Jaden Smith Kung Fu. And it's a very confusing thing, but it all comes together for this in Karate Kid Legends. This is directed by Jonathan Entwistle, not the bass player for The Who, and it brings the two storylines together, as I said. So I'm not going to tell you the whole story. I'm going to tell you most of the story. If you've seen The Karate Kid, 1984, you've seen the story. So what we have here is a young guy portrayed by Ben Wang, who was very good in this. I'm going to say up front, Ben Wang, I'm sorry, very sorry, Ben Wang, who I hadn't seen in anything before, but I hope to see in a lot more. He plays Li Fong, who is a young guy who lost his brother in a street fight and feels terrible about that, and is a kung fu wonder kid, and he studies under Jackie Chan in Beijing, and his mother, portrayed by Ming-Na, who you would recognize from a million things, including the original Van Damme Street Fighter movie. She is a doctor she's taking the boy, and they're going to the U.S. They're moving to the U.S. Single mom, taking her son, moving to a city he doesn't want to go to. See if that sounds familiar. He goes reluctantly. He meets cute with a young girl, a young woman portrayed by Sadie Stanley, who is working at a pizza place owned by her father, Joshua Jackson, who you would remember long ago from Dawson's Creek and a lot of other stuff. And there's a relationship going on there. But unfortunately, her old boyfriend, see if this sounds familiar, her old boyfriend is a bad guy. He is a kung fu baddie, and he works with an evil dojo, and he is the long-running champion of the Five Boroughs tournament. There's a gigantic karate tournament that brings all the karate and kung fu masters from around the greater New York City area together to see who is the top of the pops. Not all Valley, it's the five boroughs. That's the basic story here. So mom makes the boy promise not to fight. Boy is a young guy. She's feeling a lot of pressure from a successful doctor parent mom who wants him to do really well in the SAT so he can get into a good college. He is being tutored by a nerdy guy in America. He's falling for this girl whose father, and she works at the pizza place. Father runs the pizza place. He owns, I guess I am telling you the whole story. Father owns money to bad guy loan sharks who also run the evil karate dojo. And somehow Li Fong is trying to not fight, but also stand up for the people he loves and cares about around him. Eventually, Jackie Chan's Han character comes back into the picture. This whole movie is sold as you get Jackie Chan and you get Ralph Macchio, and they're in a Karate Kid movie together. I will say this, Ralph Macchio is not in it that much. Jackie Chan is in it right at the beginning, and then he comes back and plays a role for the rest of the film. Ralph Macchio really does not enter the picture until the last act, the last third, as it were. This is an unusual film these days in that it's under 2 hours. This is not a lot longer than 90 minutes long, which is refreshing. I kind of like a movie out of the gate knowing I'm not committing to 2 to 2.5 hours of content when usually a lot less will do. And everybody in it is really good. Let me get it out of the way. So ultimately it comes down to, I'm not telling you the whole story. Ultimately it comes down to Li Fong has to fight the bad guy, the guy who, is mad because he stole his girlfriend and he's beating him up and bullying him, and he's just a bad guy, and he needs to win this giant championship because then he'll get all kinds of money, and he'll help out his friend who runs the pizza place who owes money, and he'll help out his family, and he'll be able to pay for college and all this other stuff. So it's really a remake of The Karate Kid. It's something I call a requel or a C-make. It's like, it's just like the Jackie Chan one was. It probably, although I didn't see that one, love Jackie Chan, huge fan of his classic period. To me, Jackie Chan movies set the standard for what cinematic action could and should be, and I'll get back to that in terms of this film. I don't remember what I was saying, but I'll keep going anyway because that's what I do. It's because I'm in a 4th floor loft and it gets increasingly warmer, and I don't have something to blot my brow. So it follows the basic story of the original Karate Kid a lot. The whole thing I was about to say was, it's sacrilege to remake certain movies, but if we did a prequel that was exactly the same thing, or if we did a sequel that was exactly the same thing, but we made references to the people in the original, it's not a remake. This is a remake. despite the presence of Ralph Macchio. It even opens with Okinawa 1986, and you see a scene from Karate Kid 2 that sets up the whole connection between Mr. Miyagi, Pat Morita, and Mr. Han, Jackie Chan, which is cool. It's really well done. Overall, this movie is really well done. And visually interesting for the most part, really interesting soundtrack for the most part, very funny. Like, I laughed more during this movie intentionally than I did during the last alleged comedy I went to see in the theater. It was very funny, really good martial arts choreography. The Jackie Chan stunt team was involved, but horrendous visual presentation of it. Like, it makes me mad. I said going into this, all I need is action that I can see in this movie and I'll be happy. The rest doesn't matter. The movie failed on that. You get glimpses, if you're okay being duped, you get glimpses of really cool action sequences and really cool fight choreography, but it always cuts away too soon. The camera is always like this on people. The camera is always moving. It's overcut, over-edited, camera too close, camera too shaky, what has ruined a couple of decades worth of American action filmmaking now. Brett Ratner, for whatever good or bad he was, when he made the Rush Hour movies, the first two at least, he shot them like the Jackie Chan style from Hong Kong. Jackie Chan was brought here because people thought his movies were amazing and he was a big, huge box office star all over the world. Maybe at one point the #1 box office star around the world. And eventually American filmmakers and studios thought they knew better how to handle him. Maybe they thought they were Americanizing him for US consumption. But taking that style where you can get glimpses of brilliance and glimpses of really creative stuff, but you're never allowed to just focus on it and be impressed. In recent months, Thunderbolts had a really great action sequence where it was a static shot where you just saw all the people do what they did and it was amazing. Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning had a shot in it or a sequence in it where they just let the action play out. Equating moving camera with exciting is stupid. Just let it happen. You know, if I did the most amazing kung fu thing in a wide shot here, you'd be impressed by that. I would be even more impressed by that. And you'd be able to see it and be impressed. But if the camera's shaking all over the place, you're like, well, I guess a fight was going on. So I'm always going to rant and rave about that. The only thing I really did not like about Karate Kid Legends was the fact that the martial arts were really poorly shown. You get glimpses, you know enough to know that Ben Wang can really do this, and I hope we get to see him in more movies where you can actually see what he's doing. We know Jackie Chan, to some degree of his ability now, can really do these things. Ralph Macchio has picked up a thing or two, and yes, there is a sequence in the film where Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan are taking on bad guys, and you can barely see a damn thing, other than that you know something is going on. So that made me mad. That's really annoying, and it's a gigantic wasted opportunity. Other than that, the film is incredibly charming. The cast is all really, really good. Like, Josh Jackson was I don't want to say revelation, but he was really nice in this. He's like a nice guy. And a lot of the people in this movie just seem like really cool people like you'd want to spend time with. They do a lot of things from the original film. Like I said, the basic conceit of single mom moves her young, semi-troubled, semi-lonely son away from where he is happy to a place where he's a fish out of water and he has to deal with everything. Meets a girl whose ex-boyfriend is a karate hero bad guy at an evil dojo. There's a giant, all-encompassing regional martial arts competition that they have to win. There's a sequence at the beginning where you see Jackie Chan training all the young kids at his dojo, and they're in their gis and they're doing their things, and initially it's in Chinese and they eventually seg into it being in English. And instead of wax on, wax off, they're using jackets and they're saying jacket on, jacket off. And I didn't think of anything when they first said that because it was subtitled and it went by very fleetingly. And I'm like, oh, it's like the wax on, wax off. And he says, at some point in the movie, he says, you work with what you got when you don't have much. Later in the movie, though, Li Fong says, jacket on, jacket off. And I'm just like, did he just say jacket off? It's a good thing they didn't repeat that endlessly in the film. It's a good thing this isn't like 30 years ago when they would have manufactured a toy with a string or a toy with a button that just repeated that phrase over and over again, because I think some parents might have been displeased. And I don't know, I mean, clearly it's a wax on, wax off reference. And even as a kid, the wax off part of it, but I mean, jacket off? Anyway, there's a great sequence in the film where Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio are showing their competing techniques and suggestions to young Ben Wang as to how to take out the opponent, and it becomes a game of one-upsmanship with Ben Wang being basically the prop, and I was laughing out loud, almost doubled over with laughing. So there's some really good stuff in here. It does feel very small in ways. It doesn't have the cinematic feel of the first two movies, at least. Karate Kid 3 was terrible. Although the bad guy kid, the evil karate kid in this movie feels a lot like the Terry Silver character from Karate Kid 3 and Cobra Kai. Speaking of Cobra Kai, one of the things I wondered going into this was how much of the Cobra Kai world is going to be present in this movie. We've spent several seasons, several years now, watching Ralph Macchio, or watching the Daniel LaRusso character grow, and watching him deal with evil Johnny, evil maybe not so bad guy Johnny anymore, and all that kind of stuff. So are they going to have a lot of those characters in the film? The answer is no. Not to give anything away. Movies are made so that everybody will understand them. That's why if I'm ever in a movie and somebody's like, who's that? Or is he gonna, what's that? And I'm always just like, it will be explained. Movies are made to appeal. Hollywood movies are made to appeal to the most people possible. So as far as this movie is concerned, it was a little bit weird to me that they didn't provide a little extra context for anybody who hadn't watched the Cobra Kai series as to what's Daniel LaRusso doing now. Basically, you just see him, you initially see him at the Miyagi dojo, and he says a few nice words, the fact that Mr. Miyagi's not around anymore, and they just take it as read that he still knows karate and he still lives in the area. They will say, I would say stay through the credits. There might be something at the end of the credits, I don't know, but right as the end title comes up and you see Karate Kid Legends again, there is one more scene that is extremely rewarding. So don't don't run like Usain Bolt out of the theater, literally. Don't bolt out of the theater when Karate Kid Legends comes up, because there's another minute or so that was very, very funny and very cool and a nice little ode, nice little reference. So I thought this movie was a lot of fun. Now, despite saying how much I thought the action was a totally trash throwaway, it's a lot of fun. I really liked Ben Wang. At one point in the movie, they say, hey, he's the Chinese Spider-Man. He's the Asian Peter Parker. And a light bulb went off. And I'm like, if they did another Spider-Man movie where you just took it as read that Peter Parker was Chinese or Asian and he was portrayed by Ben Wang, I would be 100% cool with that. This kid is really cool. He has the moves. He's very likable, very humble in this film. I'd like to see him in more. I'd like to see him, as I said, in a movie where you could actually see what was going on during the action sequences. Don't know how well this movie's going to do. Don't know how well it's going to hang around. If you've never seen a Karate Kid movie, this movie pretty much tells the story of the Karate Kid, so it's pretty accessible. They dig into the past and the references to the other movies. They don't really dig very deep into the previous Jackie Chan Jackie Chan Karate Kid movie, and they make some references to the other ones, but you don't really have to have seen any of those. I think it means aspects mean a little more if you have, but if you haven't, that's fine. If you haven't seen Cobra Kai, don't worry. If you haven't seen anything other than the original one or two Karate Kid movies, don't worry. It's just a really charming, as I keep saying, funny, entertaining film. And if you are an average American moviegoer who has been lulled into thinking that not being able to see the action is what action should be, then you will probably have no problem with this film whatsoever. So the way the soundtrack works is a lot of music throughout, contemporary music, and one use of an older song that I thought was very funny. There's a lot of use of music in this film to the degree where it just made me think about the drive-in, and I know it's drive-in season. I work at a drive-in, not a first-run drive-in, but a drive-in, and this would be a fun movie to see at the drive-in. I know one drive-in I saw somewhere paired it with the original Mortal Kombat, which I thought was kind of a cool idea. So anyway, in theaters now, streaming forevermore, courtesy of Sony Pictures and Columbia Pictures, Karate Kid Legends.